We should claim one set. Incredible record by Truth. cdbaby.com/CD/Truth214. Go there right now. Purchase. Also, you can turn down just a little bit more, but leave it there. Weed Juice is in the building. Always support the brother Weed Juice. He comes here every morning, every Monday morning to support our show. He brings juices for the entire building. He has a great platform here. And anybody that's a So What listener can go to his website, weedjuice.com. Weedjuice.com. And he said there's a code here. All you have to do is say So What 6-pack. So it could be a detox 6-pack or energy 6-pack or cleanse 6-pack, whatever. Just go there and say So What. You get a 20% discount. Please continue to support the brother. Oh my God, I got something incredible right here. This dude sent me this game. It's a game. WYKAU. What you know about us. It is an African American history game. Talking about knowledge of self, it's a trivia history game for African Americans. WYKAU. What you know about us. It's incredible. It's what you know about us. WAM. And the WAM stands for, I think it stands for We All Matter. Please go to this website right now, which is www.wykau.com. That's wykau.com. That's W as in winning, Y as in you, K as in Kelly, A as in Alfred, U as in under.com. wykau.com. What do you know? What you know about us? WAM, We Matter. And this is incredible, man. It's an African American edition. Very, very dope stuff. I love supporting black businesses. I love making money for black businesses. I don't ask for anything. I just want to see black businesses win. That's why I do it. I want us to recycle dollars. I want us to believe in us again. Go to Elephant NYC. Love Elephant NYC. They have a lot of incredible stuff. They got new fall line coming out, sweatshirts, shorts. They even have shoes and pants and cargo. Like I said, man, if you love Ralph Lauren, if you love Polo, you should love this because their stuff is high end, just as high end as theirs. Pull up that site, elephantnyc.com. There it is right there. Please continue to support these brothers. And if you haven't done a good enough job, please go do a better job. And let's cash mob. It's Cash Mob Monday. I need y'all to cash mob everybody that I'm supporting right now. Pip in Pens. PIPNPENS.com. Pip, like Gladys Knight in the Pips. In, as in Nancy, pens.com. Pip and Pens. Why am I promoting them? Hey, these guys are editors, writers. If you're trying to put out a book, if you need your book edited, if you need your book formatted, these are the guys. If you're trying to write a book, these are the guys. PipNPens.com. Please support this business. Get there right now. Please support this business. Also, Arise Hospitality. You already know, the Black Staples. Get at them right now. Easy Boy Web. You already know. If you need somebody to help you with anything website oriented, social media, e-commerce, all of that, get with them. You need a website? Get with them today. Ramo Mart. Some of the flyest stuff in the world. In about a couple of weeks, I'm going to be rocking something that you just can't imagine. It's going to blow your whole wigs back. You guys are going to rush to Ramo Mart. Very important that you support them. I'm rocking a Ramo Mart shirt underneath, right? Underneath my Pharaonic Designs. Go to Pharaonic Designs. Who else we got? Wise Development Skills wisetraining.com. Wise Development Skills Training.com. My son is a basketball player, but not only is he a basketball player, 3.0 GPA, 1300 on the SAT. You can't get a scholarship nowadays just being able to ball. You got to be a scholar too. And coming from the likes of me, you know I wouldn't settle for less. This brother right here is a trainer, you know, and man, I love this dude. He's a good dude. Please support him. He's on the East Coast. Time for us to support everybody that supports us. And on the line right now, we have Veronica Conway. VC,
hey,
are you in the building?
Hey, what's up?
What are we selling today? What are we doing?
Hey, my invitation is to my boot camp. We're in the countdown. We're starting another one. You know, people got to get in on this, man. People that aren't doing this, that are on the fence about it, are leaving tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table by not making the decision to pull the trigger and be about this thing. Because you know how you've seen how we get down, so our boot camps are no joke. People come out.
She helps people make money.
Game.
Yeah, she helps people make money. And she does it quickly. She turns you around quickly. She instantly recognizes or locates whatever flaws in your business plan, whatever flaws in your psychology, your mentality, your emotions. She instantly pinpoints it and really points you in the right direction. She did it with Ramomart. She did it with a whole bunch of people that do business with us. I mean, she's a secret assassin of your weaknesses. And if you don't get with her, you're just wasting your time. You're spinning your wheels. Ain't that right?
Yeah, that's right. So
she did it with me.
People have been saying to me, you know, I'm putting you on my vision board to have you for the future. I'm like, get me off your vision board and get me in your life so it can be different. That's what I say. Like, stop playing, right? So anyway, If they want to connect with me, it's Veronica at veronicaconway.com. Send me an email, but do it quick because we're getting ready to start another one.
There it is. There it is. Thanks. I'll see you in a second. We're going to get into this topic in a second. I have two things that I need to promote. Of course, the Zo What Morning Show and Relationship Dismount Book Tour. I need you to get to my Indiegogo page. We have incentives. You know, I'm new at this, you know, raising money and crowdfunding and all of that. I'm new at it. And, you know, weeks ago, my people had already sent me incentives. I just didn't know what to do with them or where to put them or whatever. But they're on my page, the Indiegogo.com projects, Indiegogo.com/projects/ZWMS relationship dismount book tour. Or you can just Google it, ZWMS and relationship dismount book tour. We need your support. If you give $50 or more, we will give you a free ebook of the relationship dismount. When I tell you 12 chapters of how to break up, you know, the whole breakup process is broken down. Every aspect of the breakup process is broken down. There are exercises at the end of every chapter. The book is off the chart. If you give $100 or more, you get a hard copy book. If you give, I think, $500 or more, you get a 2-hour coaching session with me. So we want people to get out there and support. We only have 39 days left. We're only at 4%. So I would like for you guys to go to my website or go to the ZWMS and Relationship Dismount Book Tour website on Indiegogo and support us. If you give $1, we'll do whatever. We'll send you a note, special note. Also, go to CD Baby as well and get the God Class Volume 1, my lecture on God. Everybody that has purchased it have told me, wow, it's incredible. So get at us. When I come back, topics. You know how we do. Holla at y'all in a minute.
As a white guy like me co-hosting a black radio show, I think toxic relationships cause you to take poor care of yourself. If you can recognize danger, if you can pause, if you can take some breaths, refocus, and engage, you might be able to dodge a bullet that you're going to send coming towards you. One of the things that men don't get is that often women need to vent first to clear their mind. It beats the mambo music. You know, I had a conflict about that mambo music. I kind of like this music, although it's it may be a little bit too black for me. Mambo probably is closer to who I am.
For you?
I don't know. What do I? Anyway, we're talking about conflict today. It's one of my favorite topics because so many people handle it so poorly. You know, conflict can make you stronger, but the key is you have to be smart about conflict, and most people aren't. And there's two simple things to make you smarter about conflict, and this is really difficult when you have a head of steam. When you go into a conflict, if you ask yourself, what do I want the result to be? And is the way I'm approaching it going to get me that result? But what happens is when you have a head of steam, there's a saying I have that anger makes you wild. You know, smartness kind of makes you strong when it comes to conflict. Something else that also causes people to do poorly with conflict is they don't have a backup plan. I mean, if you don't get your way, and getting your way is life or death to you, you're going to push the envelope, and what's going to happen, you might get your way today, but you're going to build up so much resentment. So always have a fallback position when you're going into a conflict. Figure out what's the result I want, and if I don't get it, what's a fallback position? In fact, one of the things you can say to someone who's really yelling at you and whatever is pause and ask them, let me ask you, what's the result that you want from our conversation? You got to wait till they, get stuff off their chest. And then when they say what that is, you could say, do you honestly believe that the way you just approach me is going to get you that result? And you might be able to teach them during that time. But, since most people in conflict aren't going to listen to this, it's not going to go away soon. By the way, there is a quiz. It's something I write for a bunch of places, and I write actually at the Harvard Business site, and they have a quiz there. If you go to hbr.org, and it's how well do you communicate during conflict, and you just take the questions, and it'll tell you kind of how well you do it, and it'll give you tools to do it. And it's been up 48 hours, and it's had 13,000 people take the test.
Wow.
So I hope you'll join in, and I think we'll turn it into a study someday and tell you the results. Thanks.
Dr. G, I love you. Good to see you back.
However,
shout out to Mrs. G. I hope everything goes well in your marriage, but should you decide to cheat, I hope it is with a ghetto-ass black girl, because I really want to see some of this conflict shit in that theater. I would like to see you ask these questions to one of the women that I...
Are you saying
that...
No,
you let them vent. You let them vent.
Okay.
Because you can't stop any ghetto people in mid-vent. They got to get it off their shoulder. The key is... How's that for a racist comment there?
No.
Wow.
It sounds right. It sounds about right. It doesn't work in theory, because that heifer will wake up the next morning and another thing, nigga. See, and that's your problem right there.
So let's set up the show now. Jeez.
Now that we got down that dirt road.
Now that I've been disregarded, my usual position here.
Today's topic is conflict a stepping stone for personal growth or a downward spiral to personal destruction?
Wow.
The Conflict Resolution Show. As is commonplace, I like to ask questions. Get to your phone lines, 855-878-4652. The number to dial is 855-878-4652. When you are in an argument or a disagreement, what is your first reaction? What should your first reaction be? Number 2, do you resolve disagreements differently with friends and family than you do with coworkers? And what is that difference? Sometimes pretense comes into play, not only with just family, but the level of pretense comes into play when you're at work, right? I can't really show my ass here at the job. Mm-hmm. You might show your ass with mom and cousins and uncles, and you understand what I'm saying? So that's very interesting. When you're in an argument or disagreement, what's more important to you in the moment? Resolving the conflict or winning the argument, i.e. being right? How does being a rightaholic cause even more conflict? Right? Have you ever used meditation or prayer to resolve any type of conflict? whether it be business, divorce, child custody, anything. Have you ever used meditation to resolve conflict? I think that's interesting. Dr. York will, not Dr. York, Dr. G will say something like, pause, right? Right? Does that work? Counting the 10, holding your breath, counting the 10. Does that work? This is interesting, man. Do you remind yourself of one of your parents in your style of handling disputes? Conflict resolution is the topic today. Who wants to participate? We've got Veronica Conway on the line. We've got Bobby Glanton-Smith. He is the author of Real Men Don't Play. You can get that book at realmendon'tplay.com. Correct, Bobby?
We got a conflict already. That was supposed to win in the community empowerment session, and here's how I'm going to resolve that conflict. I've got 12 men that everybody within the listening reach of this audience should meet. So get your copy of Real Men Don't Play with the quickness.
There it is. And Dr. G, who is the author of Just Listen, Mark Goulston, forward by Keith Ferrazzi. This is a very good book to get right here. What is this, the soft copy?
Yeah, this just came out last week, so you can get the soft copy. We kind of revised it because new things have happened in the last 4 years. We took out the anecdote about Tiger Woods just because I was a little bit old from the old book.
Crap.
Right.
It's okay. We replaced it. We're current. We're current. So go check this out. It's just came out and it's on Kindle, and hope you like it.
And of course we got Geoff Brown. Veronica Conway is a certified mediation specialist, right? Among all the other certs she has.
And she's cute.
And she's cute. So my question is, how can conflict be used as a stepping stone for personal development? Is it possible?
It is possible. So I think that the simplest way I can put it is that, people often don't know what they're arguing about. It's like, if you come across two kids and they're fighting over an orange, and you stop and you actually deeper into what they want, one of them might want the juice and the other one might want the pulp. But until you start drilling down to intent and desire, we can often be fighting about things that we're not even really fighting about.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest thing we have to begin to do is get clear about what the people that are in the conflict actually really want.
Mm-hmm. I need you guys to counsel me, because I don't do well in conflict. I don't.
People get the green eyes mixed up.
They really do. But I have to be honest, it's been a struggle my whole life. And I started to change. I started to evolve when I was 17. That's when I started studying Islam and different religions and philosophies, and because I knew I had a monster on the inside. I knew it, and I had to deal with it. So my point is, I'm not coming across today as an expert on this topic, right? What I would like to understand is, where does conflict come from? What creates it? And then when you're in the heat of it, because sometimes when you're angry, I think my cousin once told me this. He's a lawyer. He said the first thing they taught him in law school was, when you lose your temper, your life can change in an instant, irrevocably. So it was like the whole part of law is you have to master your emotions so you don't irrevocably change your life for the worse in an instant. Speak to that, Dr. G.
Veronica, weigh in on this, and the rest of the panel weigh in. I think something that's also going on is respect and feeling disrespected, because I'll tell you, if I really respect someone and they're telling me something I don't want to hear, but it's good for me, I may not like it, but I can really listen to it. But if I'm speaking to someone who I don't feel respects me, or someone I don't respect, it's really easy to get hot under the collar. So would any of you weigh in? Do you think that's pertinent to it?
That's a way to take my question and turn it into another question without answering it, and now I feel disrespected. Geoff?
to get back on Zoe.
I want to hear from Veronica later. Go on.
Me and the wife was just talking about this on another matter that happened a couple weeks ago on another show that I share with Zoe. And my wife was like, really? Zoe would fight? I said, baby, you letting the green eyes mess you up too. Zoe is a monster. Zoe, don't let that, don't, Zoe is a gangster. Zoe is one of them, if I had to go in a fight, I'm going to let the doc get one of his lawyers to work out the stuff afterwards. You give me Zoe. If some shit finna break down, with me Zoe and Uncle Bobby. I'm good. Conflict, I think, like you said, conflict has to do with respecter of persons from a number of angles. One, you, to me, as a man, you a punk if you're going to come at Webster different than you would Kimbo Slice. But but that's what's up. You got to respect who you in it with. You ain't finna tell Mike Tyson, you know what, fuck you. So when we get back, we're going to delve deeper into the concepts of why you don't get Brody with who you don't get Brody with. We'll be back in a minute.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's what we doing. Veronica, welcome back.
Yes.
Zowat Show, welcome
you.
back. We talking about conflict resolution.
Can I jump in on something that you said earlier, Zoe?
Sure.
Because you were talking earlier about your particular reaction and the fact that you kind of see red.
She about to put me out there. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. You can put me out there. Yeah. Shit. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm about to put you.
She coaches me all the time.
A little bit. One of the things that that we have to understand is that if we're habituated, if we have a pattern of being triggered into anger, then what we have to do is go back and look at the underlying event that we keep replaying out over and over in our minds that keep triggering us into anger. I'll give you an example. I coached a dude that worked at the city of Oakland, and he had a real hot temper, hair trigger anger. He would just see red, and he'd go from 0 to 100. And he was seemingly out of control with that. When I took him, I did an NLP intervention with him, took him back to the very first event, the root event that caused his anger to trigger. Well, it turned out when he was sitting outside of his house on the porch as a little boy, and someone went into his house and shot his mother. And then left. And he went in and got a knife and went looking for that person. So that whole event got hard-coded in his nervous system. And so when he had subsequent events that were emotional, it would trigger the similar emotional reaction. Once we went in and cleared that, he never had that reaction again. So I would say that before we even look at what we're doing with the other, we have to look at, are we in a pattern ourselves that generates conflict and triggers anger and fear and all that stuff over and over and over again? Because you got to solve that first.
Wow, that's big.
There's a good point that Veronica's making. A lot of times when we're young, something's done to us, or we see something done to someone we care about, and we're powerless, and we say to ourselves, when I get older, I'm never going to be powerless again. And that gets woven into the fabric of who we are. We don't even remember it until we remember it, and someone like Veronica helps you. And I think it's true. We just keep reliving that feeling of being powerless, and when anything close to it triggers it, we can treat a misdemeanor like it's a big felony, and we can just ruin our lives.
Bobby?
I've been fortunate for the last 25 years to work with Jim Brown in the American program, and the cornerstone of the life management skills curriculum that we've taught all over the world is eliminate the negative, establish the facts, and choose your best option. Of those three, the most difficult is establishing the facts. And something Veronica said triggered that thought, and that is a lot of times we don't want to look inside and see where the problem really is, because sometimes you have to change the people around you by changing the people around you.
Wow.
And that's very difficult to do when you're struggling with your own identity, because sometimes when a conflict arises, you ain't got no business around those people anyway. And the best option sometimes is to just let folks do what they do and be who they are and get them out of your space. If you have to work with them, then you have to find a way to work around them as much as possible, because I'm a human being. I'm only going to take so much. I'm famous for saying I'll lick you till I lick you clean. Then I'm not going to lick you no more. So that's a part of my conflict resolution, is to realize that I'm not going to be able to get along with everybody.
Oh, brother, my father cracked my head open with some wisdom when I was 17, and a friend of mine got shot in the back and paralyzed, which was very rare back in the 70s, 80s when I grew up. And he was, my mother was like, baby, you got to be careful, blah, 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 blah. You see what just happened to dude, da, 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 da. And I came out of my mouth thinking, well, you can't, that's random. He was at the wrong place at the wrong time. My father put his newspaper down and said, look, there is no right time to be in the wrong place. And went back to reading. I was just sitting there with my dumb ass.
Okay, Dad. It's one of them daddy wisdom moments.
My mama, 500 words. My daddy, them words. And I'm like, okay, yeah.
But doesn't conflict tend to put us in a position to where it's defense, it's me against the world, I need to be right, I need to be heard, I need to let this be known? And doesn't that stance or that positionality kind of becomes a conflict manufacturer?
There's an interesting thing in a lot of couples, and Veronica weigh in on this. A lot of times you'll hear people yelling at each other as if they're telling the other person, I'm right and you're wrong. And when you drill down, what a number of people are saying, especially a lot of men who feel dissed by the women in their life, what the men are really saying is, I'm not wrong all the time. But it comes across as I'm right and you're wrong, but really what they're feeling is, I am not wrong about everything. I am not incompetent. They don't say that. What they do is they start accusing the other person, and they're feeling that the other person is telling them, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. So how much of conflict is feeling the injustice of being accused and told that you're wrong, maybe in not those words,
wow,
and then coming back and taking it in a different direction?
Wow. Veronica, that's heavy. You want to handle that?
Yeah, well, I also think, I've done, funny what Geoff said earlier about, how do you deal with conflict resolution when you're talking about, ghetto abroad, right? But I've done trainings in the toughest cities in America. I mean the hood, Baltimore, Bon Secours. We did financial coach training in those neighborhoods, and we had clients that were coming out of prison, coming out of welfare, didn't have a key, in transitional homes. These people were in tough circumstances, and we gave them skills that empowered their lives.
Wow.
And so I don't think it's fair to say, I think that it's a myth that people that are from the hood don't have strategies. They have strategies for coping. They're just the wrong strategies.
Wow. And you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? I was just about to ask the whole panel this. Do you think that there is a cultural difference in how conflicts are resolved?
Absolutely.
Can we honestly say, can I just be honest here? Can we say that African Americans have a low conflict resolution IQ?
No, I don't agree.
I'm just going to ask that question. I'm putting it out there. I'm not saying that we do.
African Americans or Negroes?
African Americans.
African Americans, absolutely. Negroes, not so much. African Americans are I shout out to the African Americans that have us in the fucked up position we are today.
Wow.
Yeah. I think all my heroes are Negroes.
But I think we're all one people. I'm not one who's down with the interracial classism. I'm not down with that.
I absolutely am. That's where we differ.
That's fine.
Because
we get the difference.
So, there's a difference between me and that dude. You know who I'm talking about. That if you heard he was sitting in your mama's living room, you would jump off the radio right now and run to your mama's house.
But there is no difference to the police officer who's going to arrest the fucking professor breaking into his own house.
Both of y'all sit y'all asses on the
that's
counter.
an example of how we're the same people.
Okay.
No, how can we be the same people when the person sitting in his own house wouldn't even reach back to bring up that brother that's on that corner?
But see, that's our laundry. That's our personal problem.
But it's
that we need to
in the same mix.
But that doesn't mean, okay, we get to. You guys are saying just because it exists, it's right. It's not right.
No, I didn't
that
say
we think that way.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
I don't agree with it, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, you don't have to agree.
What was the question again?
You want the question again, Doc?
Yeah.
Okay, do you think that there's a cultural difference in how conflicts are resolved? Are there some races who are better at conflict resolution than others? And where would... Hold on, Veronica.
The general thing early in childhood is that we spank.
Hold on, Veronica. Hold on. Let me just get that question back. Do you think that there's a cultural difference in how conflicts are resolved? And if so, are there some cultures that are better at it? And if we were grading, where would we put the African American culture here in America? Now, Veronica, you can answer.
Right, sorry. The line's been a little scratchy today. So
that's all right. We good. That's all right.
We have to understand that part of what we do in our culture is that we spank out of the gate, right? Which differs from a lot of other cultures. So if the laying of hands is sort of a first root experience that someone has about conflict or difficulty or challenge, then we grow up sort of indoctrinated with that as an idea.
I got it.
The truth of it is that all conflict resolution is a skill set. It's a skill set. It's how do we use words to create meaningful, resourceful conclusions.
I gotta disagree with that, Veronica. When we come back, I would like to start out with what I have to say that includes spankings, but does not start out first with that.
And Bobby disagrees too, so he's got a point on it as well. We'll be back at 2.2, the So What Morning Show. We talking about conflict resolution. We'll be back in 2.2. Holla. We're back on the So What Morning Show. We ended, Bobby wanted to say something to some of the points that Veronica Conway was making about corporal punishment and black mothers and fathers who whooped their children, maybe instilling conflict in them, and Bobby had something to say about that. Bobby?
Well, I don't equate conflict with corporal punishment. There's no debating with an 18-month-old child, or a 2-year-old, or a 3-year-old, because I don't think you really have to whoop a child past 3 years old if you use it in the right way. Because I ain't got time for timeout, and because I might be trying to keep you from running out in the street and getting ran over. The redundancy of don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. It does not work when you're dealing with somebody who does not have the capacity or the faculties to understand the nature of right and wrong yet. And until we replace that with something that I haven't seen done successfully yet, you're going to have to get a child's attention. I'm not talking about beating the hell out of nobody. I'm just talking about, hey, come here, let's get this over with, and now you know what to associate with bad behavior.
Absolutely.
Not for the rest of your life. You're not going to get beat down the rest of your life. But for right now, this is how we negotiate.
So, Bobby, are you telling me that a spanking is like a portable hot stove, right? You know the hot stove metaphor.
I love that.
Right? So, you touch the stove, it burns. You know now never to touch the stove again. So the spanking is the portable version of that.
But it's not the hot plate out on your
it's not just the
hot belt.
It's the education that goes with that, because now you associate, look, I have tried to reason with you. That is not getting your attention. This little tap, got your attention. Now listen to me very carefully. Don't do that again.
Does this also apply to adults?
No.
No. Listen to how I'm gonna marry the concept. Cool Mo D. I'm trying to get Mo D on the show.
What's the problem?
He just busy doing his thing, but we talk damn near every day. Mo D always says, stupid people, ignorant people do not respect intellect. The only thing they respect is aggression. Right? You can't reason with a dumb person, but if you strike fear in them, then they're pliable to what you're trying to say.
That's unsustainable and very dangerous because they're already at the edge of violence, and if you come at them with that aggression, then it's going to be a physical conflict.
Well, but isn't that what the mafia says when it says it's better to be feared than loved?
Well, it's better just to stay out of range.
That's good stuff, Bobby. I love it.
I'm getting to the point where I'm going to leave folks alone.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave them alone, especially when there's no opportunity to resolve the conflict.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, let's ratchet it up to something that we're going through right now, nationwide, racially. Mm-hmm. You know, we're at that point now where it's not going to take much more than before we see real conflict in this country because we are not able to resolve some very serious issues. And we have to have that discussion honestly for once. And it's okay if white people don't like us. It's okay if we don't like white people. The reality is there's only one planet, and we got to figure out a way to either live in some form of harmony or this whole thing going up and send it.
No, that's true.
It's just that simple.
Bobby's right. Bobby's right. Dr. G and then Veronica.
You know, something I think I've said a few times about whites and blacks is that a lot of times whites can't believe that blacks aren't angry at them. And one of the reasons that whites can't believe that blacks aren't angry at them is because inside the white's mind is, I know that if I was treated the way I think about you, you have to be angry at me. And so, and I don't know how blacks get away from something we call in psychology called projection. So if in my mind, I know that if I was you and you were and you were feeling the way I feel towards you, you'd have to be angry at me, and I can't believe anything you say is other than you're angry at me. And until the white people actually own up to that, you're not going to break through that sort of racial stereotype.
I apologize for breaking it up because we're going to my man in 60 seconds. The mere fact that you're sitting in here right now disputes that notion because I got all the reason in the world to be mad at white people, but I don't have a reason to be mad at you.
Right.
Because you haven't treated me like most white people do. So if we compartmentalize it properly, we can break that chain of crazy behavior.
One of my friends ran HR at Mattel, and she had a great, and she was Hispanic, she had a great saying. She says, I do not discriminate against groups of people, but I do discriminate against individuals.
Wow. Well, the only thing that I take issue with that, and then something, and then I really want to talk about Veronica, what Veronica said with regard to spankings first. Spankings are never first in my house, and they sometimes were first when I was a kid. With what you just said about it being necessary for white people to get, I think is a weakness and is an Achilles heel to black people. We are always waiting on white folk to get some concerned with the populace of what white people and what they think about black people.
Wow.
Black people need to get their shit together on their own outside of what white folk got to do.
Veronica, wrap this up for me. Please,
That's
wrap this.
absolutely right. I'll just leave it at this. I mean, I think, when you look, I'll touch on the spanking thing just once more because I'm not really in the business of giving advice about whether people should spank or not. I'm really agnostic about it. Mm-hmm. But what they found when they studied it over time is that the kids that were spanked became more violent and more conflict prone because it instilled fear rather than understanding. So I think when we're really talking about effective communication, we're talking about it between blacks and whites. We're talking about it parents to child. We're talking about it in relationship. What the thing is what are you after? Are you after fear or are you after understanding? Woo. And that dictates how you handle the scenario.
I'm after 18-month-old does not have the comprehension.
But she's not just talking about the whooping aspect. She already said she was agnostic about that. She's talking about in general conflict.
How violent and conflict prone were the slaves? I think they took the worst whoopings of anybody in history.
Absolutely. I think that's where we got it from.
That's absolutely where we got it from.
That came from slavery, actually.
Here's the difference between I think you and I, Veronica. I think that violence has its place. We were just discussing this a little bit earlier. I think that if I'm out in public with you and your man and I say something foul about you, if he break my nose and we go to court and the judge asks what happened and he said, this dude called my lady out of her name and I broke his nose. Case dismissed. I think that there is a place for violence, and history will back me up. Violence actually does solve some shit. I've had it solved in my life.
Violence is the reason America is a superpower.
Thank you.
Let's just
violence has its place. This is what we think that we should. That's against human nature to live like dandelions. We're not dandelions. We are. Violence is a part of my makeup. If you break in my house, some violence is gonna damn ensue.
So listen, we got to take a quick break. When I come back, true or false? Family estrangements are a good thing, right? When the conflict between siblings, family members, or whatever can't be resolved. Is that a good form of conflict resolution? Estrangement? Let's deal with it when we come back. So what mornings?
Okay, I'm gonna talk fast because it is beyond me. It's beyond my capability to put all of these thoughts together in one paragraph. So they are just thoughts that pertain to this subject. One, when I was 22, my ass whoopings was like matches. Step on my foot, I light one. Look at me wrong, I light one. Now I'm 50. My ass whoopings is like road flares. One, I don't know how many I got. Two, you got to do something to make me light a road flare. You got to touch my kids, come in my house, mess with my money, mess with my wife. I light one. Two, if and this is to black women, if you treat your man worse or with less respect than you do ministers with TV credits, you need to check yourself. Three, men, you a punk if you will put your hands on your woman, but you'll fold like a beach chair if a man come up. Four, learn that your truth is personal. The truth is personal. I will try to share my truth with you, but if you gonna interrupt me and you gonna call me out of my name, when we get done, my truth is still my truth. And I hope that I don't have to be in that situation with my woman or with somebody who's close to me. But if I do, I'll take my truth and get into this silo to protect myself from this bullshit that you got coming out. I'm done.
Wow. Geoff Brown's intellectual rant. Today's topic is conflict a stepping stone for personal growth or a downward spiral to personal destruction? The Conflict Resolution Show. Ladies and gentlemen, joining the show, Corey Holcomb just walked in.
That dude right there.
Again, we're talking about conflict resolution and how to effectively resolve conflict without fighting. I think the art of war says the art of war really is to win the war without
firing a single shot.
Firing a single shot. How do you win the war without conflict? Is it possible? Look at Corey's face.
He's not on camera.
Oh, I'm not?
No, you gotta move over here.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
There we go. Let's get him in the shot.
Oh. Hey, motherfucker.
Hey, what up, man?
What up?
How do you deal with conflict, Corey? And what is the best way do we deal with conflict in the best possible way, or do we still need to learn a few things about it?
Conflict is dealt with two ways.
How is it?
Either you deal with it with a lot of kindness,
yeah,
or a more effective way is to kick ass. All that in between, is babble.
Right.
All in between is babble. So you have to
tell me what you think of this, because I said this earlier. Veronica Conway's on the line with us too.
Hey,
I said, I gave the Kool Moe D analogy. Kool Moe was saying, ignorant motherfuckers don't respect respect. Like if you show a dude respect, or if you take the high road, ignorant cats don't respect the high road. They don't respect logic. They don't respect intelligence. They don't respect it. But what they do respect is aggression. He was saying, back in the day, Suge Knight, in his heyday, motherfuckers would respect Suge Knight just off of his presence alone, because his presence evoked fear. Because I don't want to fuck with him, right? So they wouldn't argue with him. They wouldn't, you understand what I'm saying? So Mo D was saying ignorance respects aggression, but intelligence sometimes is over the head of average people, so they don't see any real reason to respect it at all because they don't understand. Go ahead.
You mentioned Suge Knight. I remember at his pinnacle, people feared him.
That's what I'm saying.
But once he got touched up a couple of times, he was open season.
Right.
In that way.
Exactly.
So I think the word respect gets thrown around a lot, especially with regard to fear. I don't think people respect people necessarily that they fear. They will yield to them. I will yield to the aggression that you bring forth. That don't mean I respect you. I can't stand you. I don't want to hear what you got to say. But you know what? I'm not gonna fuck with you because what's up?
You my man, but trust me, respect is an illusion.
Yeah.
Say more.
Okay.
Say more.
That's why I say you deal with it with kindness. Somebody who's intelligent enough to understand what you're saying. You might be able to have kind words with them and get to the bottom of something.
They get some understanding from that.
Yeah.
Right.
If the kindness doesn't work, the only thing left is fear. Only thing left is kick ass.
No, bro. We see eye to eye today, bro.
Veronica, what do you think of that?
Well, I think, again, so it depends on the posture that you're operating from. I think that if you're in the land of the benevolent alpha doesn't have to ever kick anybody's ass.
Say more about the benevolent alpha. I'd like to.
What is that?
Yeah.
No, I get it.
I know what you're saying.
I get it.
Say more, though. I want to hear that. The benevolent alpha.
There is a posture that I've seen very powerful men embody that are, and these are powerful men that are lethal, that are, deadly in terms of whatever they're best in the world at. And they are always in the posture of benevolent alpha. So while there's probably possibly an inference that if you cross them or fuck with them, that shit will go down, but they never have to exercise it because of the posture that they occupy in people's minds.
No, they had to.
I just think
They had
to whip some ass to get there.
That's what I was going to say.
Thank you. Ain't no. This benevolent alpha you discussing does not exist without previous aggression. Maybe he ain't whooping nobody's ass in this room. Maybe if Jet Li walk in here, he would be the benevolent alpha. But that's because I done seen this movies. Okay?
No,
Yeah,
but I understand what she's saying. But as a man, first off, when you're dealing with that alpha energy, like let's just take my son. He's the alpha of his basketball team.
No doubt.
Everybody on that team know not to fuck with him.
So,
He ain't fought anybody on the team, but there's an energy with him that says, do not fuck with New.
the benevolent alpha of the jungle is the elephant.
Is the elephant. I think it's more powerful.
Don't let him tell you that.
Okay, Corey just said something that was really dope, Veronica. I want you to hear it. You said what now?
The benevolent alpha of the jungle is the elephant. The elephant don't go around fucking with nobody.
No.
But
everybody get the fuck out the way when they come to the water hole.
Yeah.
Because they know what the fuck it is. Even this so-called lion.
Alligators, everybody leave.
Right. That's true.
Everybody get out the way when the elephant comes. So that's really how this shit works.
That's true.
The presence of an ass whooping can keep you benevolent. Them little bitty motherfuckers. I'm gonna tell you something. Little fragile men. They're never benevolent.
But you know what? I do believe. I do believe.
Elderly benevolent motherfucker.
I do believe that we're saying the same thing, just differently. There is something about the benevolent alpha that still has that trigger, that cue to those underneath that say, don't cross, don't disrespect. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Humble out. There's some of that there innately. And like Veronica was saying, maybe he doesn't have to beat his chest like the gorilla, like the silverback.
Right.
But again, that's what we were talking about, the difference between demanding and commanding.
But see,
when somebody has to command, I'm gonna give you this, Bobby. When somebody commands something, they don't have to ask for it. It comes naturally. I walk in the room, automatic respect, because I respect myself, and I got something with me that says, I will fuck you up. Now, don't push me, but I will fuck you up.
Because it's in you to push me.
You understand what I'm saying? It's there naturally. Bobby?
Well, it's almost oxymoronic, though, to put benevolent and alpha together, because it's not about being benevolent. It's apparent. You remember Ed Martin, who came out to the studio with us, right?
Yeah, oh, your guy.
Ed got that look that he don't have to tell you that I will kill you instantaneously.
He got that look, but he got to give it to you first, because if you roll up on Ed, if the average dude roll up on Ed, they gonna look at Ed like, this nigga here.
But then if they don't look and if they come at him,
if you seen Ed, but that's what I'm saying. This is the problem in our, but let me give you this, and then I'm back to you, Geoff. This is the problem with our community. With most communities, not just the black community, but with most communities. But we have a unique way of displaying it. We're just like everybody else. We look at stereotypes. You don't think a green-eyed, light-skinned nigga whoop your ass until he's punching you in the mouth, knocking your teeth out.
Can I get it?
You don't think that'll happen. Do you understand what I'm saying? You don't think that's possible. But my point is, but that's my point. My point is, because we're going off of these stereotypes, right?
Yeah.
We tend to label people, we tend to put people in categories, and we automatically feel like we're above or we can dictate to. To me, this is where conflict is coming from. This is where conflict is stemming.
I wouldn't trade growing up in Chicago for shit, because that's where you learn about sizing people up, and you know better. I know. That's why I'm respectful to men. When you see me get Brody with a dude, that's because I'm ready. I'm ready. If not, I got to respect you, because if I'm disrespectful to you, there's a good chance that that's not the end of that. I might be laying under a fucking sheet over that. So you come with that. What happens is dudes and people lose that, and they make the choice to lose that. Women make the choice. This is a conscious choice that a lot of women make. Yeah, nigga, because you don't think that there's anything else that goes.
I got a great point right here, and then we got to go to break. Like in the jungle, say two bears really don't want to fight each other.
Not really.
They really don't want to do it. Two lions don't really want to fight each other, because they know if I fight, I'm fighting to kill, and it'll be over for one of us today. So a lot of times there's posturing. You know, I'm going to get bigger, I'm going to get loud, you going to get big, you going to get loud. And I think in the hood, or in just with men in general, we have a way to look at each other to go, nigga, I ain't about that bullshit. And then we look back and we size each other up. And I think there's a respect that either happens or the fight happens. You understand what I'm saying? Either we really gonna do this, or we look at each other and go, okay, we don't need to do this, because somebody ain't gonna walk away from this motherfucker.
Right.
And to me, that's a style of conflict resolution. When you know, this is my homie, but I pushed him too far. Do you understand what I'm saying? I think men have that. Let's talk about it when we come back. This is going to be crazy. So what? Today's topic, man, it's a heavy, heavy topic, man. We're talking about conflict resolution. Is it a stepping stone for personal growth, or is it a spiral into self-destruction? Somebody on Hustle Habit on Twitter said, alpha males have to assess threats accurately as a part of survival. Right. Survival of the fittest isn't just physical, but it's mental. That's what he was saying. The same thing as you said with the bears. They have to, threat management. I'm just walking. Give us the example of the bears going to get the water.
Okay, let me give you the example of the bears. When the bears at the water hole, they all walk with a walk of, their posture says, I'm just coming to get some water. I don't want no shit. You know, they get to the water hole and they drink. But hold on, that's an example of the brown bears when they get there.
Right.
But if a grizzly bear walk up, he ain't gonna walk like that with the brown bears. He gonna limp up to that motherfucker like, y'all bitches know what it is. The only way he'll do that is if it's another grizzly bear as big as him. The point I'm trying to make, it's not intelligence. It's what's obvious. You know what I'm saying?
Say it.
Like, okay, my homeboy, Lil June, he don't pay child support because his baby mama and the motherfucker she live with know that this motherfucker crazy. You gonna have to kill this motherfucker. They know this. This bitch ain't took him to child support. But the average motherfucker who been taking the child support, I want you to know you was taken there because that bitch don't respect you. She don't fear you.
The woman.
Okay, the woman.
Thank you.
That make you feel better.
Dr. G.
But I want your input on something because
And then Veronica's going to tag in on you too. Go ahead.
Well, I need your input on a story. Years ago, I was I cut a black man off in traffic. I was having a terrible day. I cut him off.
Woe be unto you.
Oh shit! Did you get beat up?
No,
No, we don't do that. Come on, you know better than that.
No, this is in the introduction of my next book, which is how to deal with irrational people, and I was irrational at the time. So I was having a real terrible day, and so I cut someone off because I don't normally cut someone off. It was on Sepulveda Boulevard when it comes down to Gretna Green by the valley there, and then I cut him off again, and so he pulls in front of me, and his wife is telling him, "Don't go out of the car," and I'm seeing them arguing, and I've had like one of the worst days of my life. So he comes out from his car and he bangs on the window, and I am so kind of out of it. I roll the window down, and he looks at me. He says, "I'm going to do such and such and such and such," and he's about to pick me up, and I look at him. I say, "You ever have one of those days when everything you touch turns to shit, and you're just hoping you'll meet someone who'll put you out of your misery? Are you that guy?" And he said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I don't usually cut off people. I mean, you ever have one of those days where everything you do it backfires and you just want someone to take you out? Are you that guy?" And he immediately said, "Calm down."
He said, "This motherfucker crazy." I done ran up on the crazy white man.
No. He said, "Calm down." I said, No, I can't calm down. Everything I've done is wrong. I don't do this. Are you here to take me out of my misery?" And he just said, please calm down, whatever. And what happened is he walks to his car and he waves in the mirror like this. "It'll be okay." And then he drives.
That was
up.
some reverse psychology that you really didn't need. Because to be honest with you, black men and black people usually just posture with white folks. You are so safe around us. Okay, where's the big white body count?
Jeff,
we are just taking these white
Jeff,
folks out.
what was the movie? What was the movie with Michael Douglas where he had a bad day?
Oh shit! Yeah, where he was just going around.
What is it?
Falling down.
Falling down.
Yes.
That was you. That was you.
Falling down.
That brother walked in and was like, "Hey, this motherfucker's a serious killer."
Whoop your ass. I ain't want to kill you. No, ain't no brothers whoop. You can go over in the jungle tonight with $100 bills hanging out your butthole, and ain't nobody black gonna touch you.
Wrong. That's some bullshit. Somebody gonna fuck with you.
No, they ain't. Because the shot callers know you finna fuck the money up. Because the FBI, the DEA,
everybody gonna be down here.
If you get a fucking hangnail, it's gonna be helicopters down here.
Damn.
No, but one of the tactics you can use is a tactic for dealing with people who are not physically. If you got to protect yourself if it's physically a confrontation, but if they're verbally saying something to you, you tend to escalate. And one of the ways that is kind of reverse psychology is if they use a word like always, never, you can't do that. If you can pause and you look at them straight on, you say, "Boy, that sounds really messed up that I did. Say more that I can't. Say more about never." And what happens is if you tune in to
somebody beat
if you tune into a word and get people to talk more, you'll actually see them get it off their chest verbally.
Do you believe in you're only as good as what you come up against?
Oh.
Do you believe that?
Ooh.
Yes.
You know what I mean, Doc?
I want to tell you. Say more about that.
Well, this is what I'm saying. The story you told about the traffic, you obviously ran up against just a guy who sized you up, and he felt like he could walk up to you and knock on your window.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people in society of all races, they don't give a fuck who you are, how big you are, they don't have the capacity not to hit.
Wow.
Not to do all kind of crazy shit.
They got that small dog syndrome.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's why it's good that that man who was obviously, I call him a frontin' ass motherfucker. I've been there before.
Yeah.
Right.
It's good you ran up against somebody like that. But there are some crazy people in this world, men and women, who will engage when they get to your car.
Yes.
You have to run their ass over with
Veronica, I want you to speak to
pop their ass. That's what we call it in Chicago. I'm gonna pop this motherfucker.
Right.
This motherfucker's going too far. Get your ass back.
Veronica, I want you to speak to people who are conflict resolution resistant. Are there people out there that just don't respect nothing? The peace process, reasonability. Are there conflict resolution resistant people?
I'm going to put it in somewhat in NLP terms. I mean, I know this is going to, I don't mean it to sound too clinical. But I'm going to put it in NLP terms because there is really a cognitive way that this is wired in the human brain. You have what's called matchers, and you have what's called mismatchers, right? So matchers always filter for sameness, and mismatchers always filter for difference.
I was going to say sameness, difference, right? Sameness people and difference people, right?
Correct. And so usually if you put, so if you're in a team, right, you put a mismatcher in too soon, they're going to nitpick, fault find, like redirect, undirect. They're going to, you can't put a mismatcher into a process too soon because they're going to dismantle it with their critique. You put them in at the end when you want to refine things and get more accurate, right? But so people that are mismatching, if they're not understood, they tend to drive a lot of conflict because they're always looking for faults, and it irritates people, right?
That's like what they say in the book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, when they talk about people who weatherproof. They're saying weatherproofing is good for a house, but it's not good for relationships. So weatherproofing is when you walk around your house looking for flaws and cracks and everything that you can fill and fix. Imagine doing that to your partner. That's going to create conflict if you're trying to weatherproof them.
Every time you say blue, they say red. Every time you say green, they say purple, right? Then it's going to create, if you don't understand that that's their nature and know how to work around that, then you're going to be in constant turmoil.
Wow, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. We'll be back at 2.2. Doc, when you come back, I need you to talk about gaslighting, tit for tat, kitchen sinking, all that. We'll be back at 2.2.
I need to speak to him face to face. I need to understand what was going on in his life to make him capable of doing what he did. I need him to understand what's been going on in our lives. I need a time in. 16 hours after Ryan was arrested, I was back in that community, sitting in a small interrogation room, about to meet the young man that killed my husband. I thought my heart would come out my mouth. I expected some kind of monster to walk through the door. Not a young man that could be my son, your son, somebody's best friend. He sat across from me, slumped over, sobbing. I handed him ball after ball of tissue, and it was all I could do not to get out of my seat, to cross over the other side of the room, and to give him a hug. Because he looked like that was what he needed more than just about anything. We didn't say a whole lot to each other when we first met, but I told him his confession was the first step in the right direction, and the next step I urged him to consider would be pleading guilty, so that neither of our families would have to endure a trial. As soon as Ryan went to jail, I worried about him. I had no idea what was going to happen behind bars to support his rehabilitation. So I began to educate myself about that end of the system. And it was then that I learned about the powerful model of restorative justice. Now, our conventional system you're all familiar with. It asks the question, what law was broken? Who broke that law? And what's the punishment going to be? But it pays little attention to the needs of the victim or the community. The restorative model, on the other hand, works on the assumption that when harm happens in our community, it is a violation of relationship. And the questions are slightly different. We want to know, what happened? Who's been affected? And what are we going to do to make things right?
How often do you guys have tiffs or feel tension between you?
Quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, we fight all the time. There are some things he does that drive me absolutely crazy.
It seems like every day we're getting into some spat. I mean, sometimes it's little things.
Like my humming makes him want to tear his hair out.
And also we fight about bigger stuff, like deciding whether we're going to get a dog.
Tony thinks I'm crazy because I don't like dogs.
No, I think you're crazy because you're crazy.
Okay, well, I thank both of you very much for sharing. I'd now like to bring out another couple, Jim and Susan. How about you guys?
Yes, sir.
It's great to be here.
How often do you guys fight? Is it tough for you to make decisions together?
You know, I wouldn't call it tough. We usually do a pretty good job of talking things through.
Yeah, actually, it's been really important lately to have that feeling that we're a team. This year we had some challenges. I was laid off from my job.
Right. And it could have been really stressful and rough on our marriage. Instead, we found that the more we shared our concerns and thoughts with each other, it actually brought us closer together.
Do you guys have any tension at all?
Sure. We do get frustrated with each other from time to time.
Absolutely.
You know, we joke all the time that tension is our friend, but really it is. It lets us know when we need to sort something out. And most often we find solutions that we're both happy about.
Well, it sounds like you guys have some solid problem-solving skills.
I guess so. Or maybe I just married a super badass.
No, I think it's the problem-solving skills.
So there it is.
Like, man, baby, we ain't gonna never be broke. These hoes pay me for this dick.
And unfortunately, we didn't get that.
Oh my God!
Real shit though.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back to Zoe Webb Morning Show. We're talking about conflict resolution. Dr. G, I wanted you to cover a couple of things that I believe keep conflict going. Oh, you got something?
No, I'm gonna say something after the doc.
Okay.
Should I talk like the doctor, Corey?
Yes, doctor.
I wanted to talk about gaslighting, kitchen sinking, tit for tat.
You know, look, what
is gaslighting?
No, what keeps conflicts going is someone who cannot lose ever. And so they'll do whatever they can to not lose. And there's some things, and Zoe mentioned them. There was a famous movie called Gaslight in the 1940s, I think. And what it is when someone makes you think that you're crazy, and it's called gaslighting because in that movie it was one of the stars made this woman think that she was imagining something and she was crazy, and he was just trying to go find some money up in the attic of someone he killed or something like that. But in the gaslights from the of the house would go down, and he'd say, "Oh, you're just imagining it." And so gaslighting happens when someone looks at you like you're crazy, and you begin to believe it because they look at you with such concern and caring. And I know this is hard on you, and you got to watch out for those. And
so they pissing on their head but telling you it's raining.
So the actual definition of gaslighting is a form of mental abuse in which information is twisted / spun, selectively omitting to favor the abuser, or false information is presented with the intent of making victims, doubt their own memory, perception, and sanity. I'm going to gaslight you.
Yeah.
I'm going to manipulate the information.
When and it's not just information, because I'm sure all of us have dealt with these people who they're kind of condescending to us, and they say, "Oh, this is for your own good," and really, they're just trying to, get away from you or they're just trying to win, but they'll talk to you in this way, and what happens is you feel like ripping their throat out.
Wow.
And you feel wrong. Like, well, why am I so angry at them? Because they're just trying to be helpful, because they're trying to manipulate you away from probably something that's legitimate that you're feeling.
Your anger comes from your lack of honesty with yourself and with them.
That's good. Say a little more.
Your anger, I don't, kind of on the same token, I don't deal well, or back when I was single, I didn't deal well with who we call dick teasers. Like girls that flirt a lot and they out flirting and shit. I stop them right in a minute. Excuse me, are we fucking later? I said in front of everybody. Because you acting like we fucking. You need to stop that. I don't have a problem. If you playing me, I'm too old now. I'll tell you, dude, sir, ma'am, quit playing me. Quit pissing down my back and telling me it's raining. And guess what? Now I'm not upset. But if I try to sit here and hold that shit in to be apropos, no, fuck all that. I'm done.
Go on, Corey.
Corey?
I think most relationships between men and women are doomed for the most part. because you cannot be honest with your woman in this society. They want her to think that you and her are this team of equals, and you simply are not. The average alpha male out here can get all kinds of shit from other bitches without falling in love.
Other women.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, other women. Whatever you want to call it, whatever make you feel better. Other women. And the fact that you can't sit down with your woman and tell her she is holding you back by expecting you to only fuck with her is the reason most of the problems in society, as far as it go with men and women relationships, happen. I think everybody lie to their woman. Every once in a while, you'll meet a dude who really only is with his woman.
So it's why men tolerate that. In other words, it confuses me why men feel the need to get permission from society to be exactly who they are.
No, because when they tell the truth, they're outcast, and they're looked at as bad guys everywhere they go. But if you smile with your woman, and you smile with the people at the church, and you smile with everybody, then you fit in.
Do you think? Wait. You guys
if men got together and did a man code, like you tell the truth because you're a man,
right?
That actually you could dismantle that. You could dismantle that if y'all agreed and decided to.
I think. I want to do this really quickly for Corey and Veronica because I think this is very good shit you guys are on right now. This is good. My question is, does the falsity of men in general, does the falsity of men create an environment rife for conflict?
Yes, because the people in charge have to keep up conflict, have to lie, because they are a farce and not the real leader. That's the reason the society we live in is set up where if you speak honestly and from the heart, you're the bad guy.
You know, one of the falsities about men speaking to women is one of the reasons they
Then back to you, Veronica.
One of the reasons I think some men can't tell the truth to women is because if you provoke the woman into provoking you, it could bring out a part of you that is not very protective of her. In fact, it can bring out a part of you where you
know women hate hearing that, Doc, because you're basically saying in a very eloquent way, I lied to you to protect you. No, and women hate hearing that.
I lied you to protect you from me, because if I say something and I provoke you past my limit of being protective of you, I might do something mean to you. Where some women can just often vent without feeling like they're in danger, but if they go over a certain point, and a man gets provoked past a certain point, men will turn to violence because they can't communicate with their words.
But women won't be provoked to do things like that if they don't feel stupid. And the reason they feel stupid is because in this society, they're told that you're supposed to have a guy that's only going to be with you. And it's the biggest fucking lie in the world.
Wow.
Because I know guys who their resume in life is basically a lot of positive shit. They do a lot of good shit, but they fuck these hoes.
Veronica, wrap it for us before we go to break.
I think that one of the things that leaks outside of males is the fact that they're in a compromised situation. They're a compromise. Not being able to tell the truth of sexuality. I think by definition leaks alpha fluid out of men. What it does to women is it infantilizes women, right? We've conditioned our women to be infantilized. Like, we can't take it if we understand that he fucks around. Our hearts will break. If men told the truth, then women could hear the truth.
Wow. So you saying it's not that old adage that women can't handle the truth. You saying if a man decides to tell the truth, any woman would be able to handle it. She'd be able to take it. Bobby G says no. Bobby?
We know that's the bullshit.
Right. I
don't know who that is.
Oh my God. Okay, we got to take a break. You hear the music? We got to take a break. We'll be back in a second. So today's topic was talking about the two roads that conflict can lead you up or down. Conflict can be used as a type of personal development, and conflict can be used as a spiral to self-destruction. Conflict as personal development. Number one, anything worth having is worth working for. Anything meaningful is gonna be an ordeal. Like relationship is an ordeal. You hear people who are married say, "Oh, relationship is work," right? But if you work at it, you work through the ordeal of relationship and the conflict that is inherently inbuilt within it, you can enrich your life. That's only if you take responsibility for the reflections that conflict sends back to you. Conflict is, and a lot of times, is based off of triggers. And those triggers are things that deal with you specifically, right? Internal lessons, things that, damn, I never dealt with, the abandonment issues I had with my dad. So they manifest themselves in your relationship and as conflict. And they're designed to teach you to sit down and unravel that knot, right? We all have our own little knots that need to be unraveled. I always mention Krishnamurti. Krishnamurti said the solution to every problem is inbuilt in the problem. So you must sit the problem down and untangle the problem in order to get to the solution. So conflict can be used as a stepping stone to personal development. How it becomes, a pathway to self-destruction is when you don't acknowledge your weaknesses, your contribution that created the environment for the conflict to exist in the first place. This is how you get that statement. If you got 6, 7, 8, 9 bad relationships in a row, you're the common denominator. But because you refuse to take personal accountability, male or female, you're going to keep reliving those relationships. As I state in the Relationship Dismount book, every new relationship will be instantly transformed into a rebound or an old relationship until you untie those knots, right? So, when I sit here and listen to people talk about conflict, let me just say this. As men deal with conflict amongst each other differently, right? We can get into a conflict on the basketball court and sort it out right there. And then after we sort it out, whether it be argumentatively or whether it be physically, if we peoples, we deal with it and we're good, right? We can move on from that. Women, not so much. Not that it's impossible, but women, not so much. I honestly believe that conflict is the conduit to growth, depending on your perspective. If you're negative, if you're pessimistic in every argument, if you're a kitchen sinker, right? Kitchen sinking is a psychological term that means if you and I got a problem over cleanliness, but you want to talk about 8 or 9 other things that don't have to do with cleanliness, you're throwing everything but the kitchen sink into the argument so you don't have to deal with cleanliness. That's a problem. We talked about gaslighting as a problem. I'm going to make you sound stupid by distorting the information. I'm going to make you second guess what you know to be true by distorting the information, right? These are people who like to use conflict, as a means of manipulation and control. You have these people in your relationships. Conflict in America is very ambiguous anyway. In one breath, America praises conflict, right? That was the greatest football tackle I've ever seen. This nigga's leg broke, his helmet flew off, his face mask came off. Wow! But then in the next breath, damn, you see how he acts like an animal on the sideline for yelling? Right? It's very ambiguous how we deal with conflict in America, right? Sean Connery will come out and say, hey, every now and again I slap my wife. Sometimes she needs to be slapped, women get out of hand and sometimes you need to smack them, Whoa, right? Then how we deal with it when a woman gets violent little press. You know, we'll be all up in arms. Sean Connery said he'll smack somebody. But then when the soccer girl, you know, beat up her dude, they kept it hush-hush for the most part in the media. So conflict itself is very ambiguous. You know, when it comes to the Army, God will protect our troops and send the other opposing soldiers to hell. Right? Conflict is very confusing in America. But I'm going to tell you as a man, it is my job to protect mine. It is my job to protect my integrity. It is my job to take the high road, but if the high road is disrespected, to find a way to circumvent any more disrespect coming my way. That's just the reality. Unfortunately, most people in America will respect you bringing the aggression to them before you bringing the intellect, the reason. Most people in America don't respect reason. If they did, we'd always be able to sit down and talk it out, right? Always. I'm Zoe What, and that's my final thought. Let me do this really quickly. We got Bobby Glanton in the building. Bobby, where did they get your book? It's important that you get the book. I think it's awesome.
www.realmendon'tplay.com. I'd like to give a special shout out to my man Sam Watson, who's in the book, because what they did Saturday night has been unprecedented in regular television. They brought boxing back to primetime television, so a shout out to him and Al Heyman.
Awesome, good stuff. Corey Holcomb, 5150 Nation tomorrow, but where are you going to be next week?
Hey man, Memphis, y'all already know what's up. I'll be at Chuckles this weekend, bringing the pain, knocking them upside the head.
Yes, yes.
Bring your country girl on down. Got some sweet tea with Hennessy in it. Y'all motherfucking talk about that shit on the way home.
Geoff Brown.
Hosting the Music Collective this Sunday in Santa Monica at the Spot from 2 to 8 p.m. Come out, check it out.
Love it, love it. Veronica Conway, where can they find you?
VeronicaConway.com and Veronica@VeronicaConway.com.
Please support Veronica Conway. If your business is in trouble, if you need coaching on any of those things, connect with her. She's the secret weapon. Thank you once again.
If she needs some coaching.
And then, and then don't forget, today.
I get a lot of coaching, Corey.
I got you, baby.
He said, I got you, baby.
I got a different class for you. Okay?
And don't forget, tonight, Tim Wise will be on the Dash Radio show, the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams on Dash Radio. If you don't have Dash Radio yet, you got to get to your iTunes or your Google Plus and download the Dash Radio app. Once you get the Dash Radio app, go to Hot Button Radio. I'll be on from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. with Tim Wise. It's going to be crazy. And also, please don't forget, Zoe What Morning Show, ZWMS and Relationship Dismount Tour. I need you to go to Indiegogo.com and support this movement. Like I said, we have incentives now. If you download the book, or if you donate $50 or more, we'll give you a free copy of the new relationship breakup book, The Relationship Dismount, How to Stick the Landing When Leaving a Negative Relationship. It's going to be an incredible book. Support us. We'll be back next week and 5150 tomorrow. It's going to be crazy. Holla at y'all. Deuce.